When I was younger, about 4 or 5, I visited my grandfather in Serbia. He wasn't the brightest man, nor was he a bad man. I've heard stories from my relatives that he smoked cigarettes as much as you'd breathe in a day. He drank rakia, a Serbian alcohol, as if it were water, and he hid secrets worth killing for. As I mentioned earlier, I paid him a visit when I was little. It was my last visit to him because he passed away a year later. I remember he told me stories of what he'd done in his early years. He served as a hunter and taxidermist in his 20s, back in Bosnia before he'd moved to Serbia, where he served as a cop for 10 years. Then the bombing of Serbia broke out, which resulted in him serving as a soldier there. It was my last day staying there before I had to leave, and he requested that we go on a walk while my mother stayed at home assisting my grandmother with preparing dinner. I was a little rebellious at that age, and I kept on wandering off or bumping into his cane, things like that. I could tell he couldn't take it anymore when I saw the eerie expression on his face as he told me a gruesome story. When I was a hunter, I took one of my nieces on a walk in the woods to shoot down an animal of her choosing. He intended to taxidermy it for her upcoming birthday. So she decided to explore the deepest part of the woods in search of a wolf. I tried warning her, but she ignored me. I decided to wait for her. She hadn't returned, and it had already started to turn dark. I screamed out her name, but didn't hear a response. So I searched and searched and searched till I came upon a stench behind some rocks. I trudged toward it only to discover something horrible. She had long been dead, with maggots feasting upon her flesh. 2 vicious eyes peered out from a near bush. A wolf unveiled itself with a huge chunk of carrion in its mouth. Soon enough, I realized it wasn't carrion. It couldn't be. It was too huge to be a rabbit or a fawn. I ran and ran until I was out of breath. We had come to the end of our walk, and without a word, he walked inside his house. It's been many years since I brought up anything about him, but the one day I did, I will never forget. I was clearing out my garage with my father. He was my grandfather's son, and spotted a taxidermied owl that belonged to my grandfather. "Hey, I remember this. This was Grandpa's taxidermy gift to us. I remember when he told me the story of how he brought his niece with him on a walk and she got eaten by a wolf." I thought nothing of it. I brushed the story off as a fable he'd used to scare me into behaving. My father looked pale. He explained that his cousin, the niece in the story, had never gone on a walk with my grandfather, but rather went missing when my grandfather visited her. It all added up to, he was never looking for a specimen to taxidermy for her. He was looking for a way to get rid of her.